This is Leatherman Supertool, and this is the Leatherman Surge. Today we are going to combine them together to make what is affectionately known as the Supersurge. So let's get into it. There's a lot of reasons you might want to do this. I think the most compelling reason is that on the Supertool you have this nice big saw compared to, I don't even know if I have the saw on the Surge. Let me find one real quick. I've got to have one somewhat handy. So here's the saw blade that is available for the Surge, and you can see the cutting length is just not quite up to snuff. Also, it's going to be on a T-shank exchanger, so there's some question as to the comparative reliability of that tool versus a hardware saw. Let's start by taking these apart. And we will do so all at the plier heads. You'll notice these plier heads are pretty much identical, if not identical. So that is our opportunity to recombine these tools at the plier head. Stick around because we will talk about an alternative way to accomplish this without needing two full multi-tools. Might be a bit more budget friendly. I haven't worked through all of the details, but we do have an option to walk through. Starting off with our medium-large parsing wrenches, and these make it real easy to take these tools apart. You could, of course, use some pliers, some locking pliers perhaps, but they do tend to mar up the screws. We don't want that. We want them working well for the long haul, so we always use these wrenches here on the channel. I'm going to leave that pivot in place for just a second. Actually, we don't need to take apart the other pivot. We just need to be careful when we do the next step. So, we've got that pivot loose. Let's pop that pivot out of the way. And we're going to lose two little washers on the inside here. That is A-okay, or we might not lose them at all, stuck to that plier head. Now, I'm going to need to bring down the vise here for the Surge because it's just going to be easier one-handed. And I want to make sure I've got the right side coming apart here. So we do have the plain edge blade on this free handle we just created. So let's make sure we leave the pliers on the plain edge side. So there's our plain edge blade. We're going to remove the other pivot. Let's pop that into the vise real quick. This should be a pretty quick mod, but then you can take it further if you like and customize the loadout as you see fit. Just test the 7-level ratchet today as well with a power pint driving it. Got the pivot coming in from the right side, and I wish you could spin this easier. It's one of the drawbacks on this. You got the pin coming in from the right side and the screw coming in from the left. We will keep that in mind. That is the Surge screw. Dump that vise out of the way. We're going to have a lot of washers here. Go ahead and pull off some of these parts. This one was double washered. I think they used to double washer these. They don't seem to do that anymore. Get our scissors out of the way as well. Yeah, look at all those washers. And then we can pull this tool apart and we can reassemble back together. So we've got the Surge side here with the plain edge blade and, oh, did I do that wrong? 100% did that wrong. So we will reverse course. I think it'll be easier just to do the other side of the Supertool. So let's get that done. We got all these bronze washers out of the way. We're just going to crack open the other side of this Supertool so we can recombine the way that we wanted to originally. As always, lefty is loosey and righty is tighty. We film all our Mod Monday videos live on Tuesdays. If you are a member, you're welcome to join us. We do a little Q&A afterwards. But if you wonder why I would keep in the part where I screwed up and took the wrong side of the tool apart, it's because we did it live. Ain't no retakes in this. If it goes too catastrophically, we just don't ever show anyone again. We had one a couple weeks ago that I realized after the fact that it posed a bit of a risk, and so that video will never see the light of day. All right, so we've got a plier head. We've got the Supertool basically completely disassembled, at least the plier head side. And now we can recombine. So this is the plain edge blade side of the Leatherman Surge. So we want to make sure we grab, yes, the serrated blade side. So this is going to recombine just like so. And you can see it actually doesn't look too mismatched. Less so than a lot of what Leatherman is putting out these days as far as colorways go. So let's grab a pair of tweezers because there's one piece we need to add in theory. Not sure how critical this is, but it is nice to add a couple of these bronze washers in between the plier and the frame. So let's get one of those started. We'll grab our rebar plier pivot here and start feeding that in from the bottom. And you can just barely see down that hole. We want to try and line up everything. Oh, that was easy. So just make sure it goes through the washer and then through the plier head. We'll grab another bronze washer here, slip that in so here on this side you can see it a little bit better. I'm just going to use those tweezers to nudge it a little bit more into place so that that pivot pin will pop right through. If it doesn't go, we've got a couple of tricks we can try using as well. But I think that just seated properly, so we don't need any of those fun tricks. We've got the pivot screw now, and let's reattach that. So I'm just going to start that by hand. And it binds up pretty quickly. That's, I think, due to the Loctite on there. So we'll grab our wrenches, and let's make sure we go righty-tighty this time. I'm so used to disassembling these that sometimes I forget. If you guys have mods you want to see, make sure to leave them in the comments below. We do pull from that quite often to do some Mod Monday ideas. I've also got the Communities tab active now, where you can jump on and post your finished projects. You can post questions. If you need information from the community, that can be a great place to reach all of those in our audience and get some input from the crowd. So let's get this continued to go. I'm struggling here because I'm talking and I'm distracted, and there's old shipping labels falling down in the corner, and that's all right. So let's get, goodness gracious, my hand-eye coordination has gone kaput. Let's do this. Yes, now we're cooking with gas. I'm so used to taking these apart, like I said. So let's cinch this up. I'll probably over-tighten it and then back it off. That's what I like to do. If you've seen our video on tensioning your tools, you'll know what I'm talking about. Would normally add a bit of Loctite, but a lot of these mods come back apart. So that is done. And now we can do the other side, and it'll be basically the same, but we'll show you how we put that back together as well. And that is a Supersurge. I think this is going to be the more common variation with the plain edge blade. You're also going to have the T-shank exchanger with that diamond file, which is excellent. You could put the scissors in here if you wanted. And then on the inside, we'll show the tool set as well. You're going to have the all large flat and small flat screwdrivers. Now that's going to be a bit of a repetition. We'll see in just a second, but you're also going to have that nice big saw blade and a nice big serrated blade as well. And then you're going to have the full-size three-dimensional Phillips driver, which people love. You can use the adapter on that. Now we are going to have an extra small flat screwdriver here. You could swap that out, I believe. Let's double check here, but I believe you could. That would be a direct swap for the all if you wanted to add one here. So that is 2.23 millimeters thick. And if we just swing out the all from the other side, I assume this means we're going to end up with two alls on this side. So if you have this, maybe we'll see on what time it is, 2.33 or 30. So that'll fit pretty direct. You can swap those out and not have that redundancy. I'm guessing on this side. Oh no, do we have the awl over here? We do. Okay. Oh, so you won't want to add the awl. What else could you add? Let's see. That might be it, honestly. You could work in the bit driver if you wanted to. So you've got some options, but you'll have to think through that. If you guys want to see us finish this mod, let me know too, because we could go further with it. So let's go ahead and start putting together the other side of the tool. So we do want to make sure we orient this properly. I've been known to make that mistake. I'm going to slip that pivot in place. We'll grab our tweezers again. Really, really recommend having a good set of tweezers for modding, especially these older style frames. You just can't get your fingers inside the frames to get things done. So we've got that washer slipped in place. Now we'll get the plier head, slip that in, keeping pressure up on that pivot screw to help trap that washer, which we just lost. Par for the course, I suppose. A-okay. Let's get that pivot or that washer in place. There we go. Goodness gracious. Not cooperating much. Now we can slide in that plier head, hopefully. Maybe without dropping the pivot. No matter how many times you do this, it just always fights you a little bit. I think we're getting it there. I can see through down to the pivot. So we just need to finagle things until it drops through. There we go. Just using those tweezers to move that washer around. And we'll get our last washer in place. That's just going to slip down inside, and we can see it through the top now in living color. And I tend to use the tweezers for this. You got to be careful because they, if you've got a real fine pair of tweezers, you do want to take care of them. But and just there by cracking that plier head a little bit, gives a little bit more freedom that wants to bind up when you pop it into its full open position. So that's a quick tip there. Let's get that screw put in place. We'll tighten that up super duper quick here, hopefully quick here. And we're going to go here on the back. Goodness gracious. Just slipping that in place and holding it with a finger there. And then we can start spinning this top screw little by little. Once that screws in a little bit, you can kind of just use the pinch method. All right, getting that almost cinched up now. We'll go over to the Leatherman Surge side for this. I don't want to go too tight there. Feels good. On that Surge side, you're not going to have those internal washers. They don't do that on the Surge for whatever reason. Instead, we are going to start applying our blade and scissors. So I'm going to put one washer down there, and then we will set our blade in place. You can see that washer has stuck to the blade, which is convenient for this purpose. And we can just feed that pivot through the blade, then through the second washer, ideally. And then in through the frame and that plier head. You can see there's a little bit of misalignment right now. We're going to have to fight that just a little bit. So I'm going to tuck this blade inside the handle so it doesn't catch me. And then what we'll do is we're going to try opening those pliers. Whoops. Open those pliers till we can get a nice clean sight through everything. And just dropping that blade out of the way. I don't want to get bit. Hey-o. Check through the other side and see how well aligned we are. We're very close. So let's get that punch into place and use that to maneuver. There we go. Just a little bit of force off axis, and that popped right through. So we can add now another washer. I'm not sure how they had this. I think they had 2 washers underneath, or a thicker washer. Nope, 2 stacked washers down there. Yours may vary. I've noticed in later years they've used fewer of those bronze washers on their tools over at Leatherman, particularly on the Surge. So let's get those scissors slipped inside the tool. Get that spring aligned, and we'll add one last washer on top. And then we'll drop the pivot screw in place and start twisting that. Worth mentioning, I do like to put the pivot on the blade side just because it's probably going to see the most use. Your mileage may vary. Let's see, which way do we have our ratchet? Spin this, just again using that power pint there. So we can grip onto this, maybe, and cinch that up. It does feel like it's a little bit misaligned, so we might have to play with that a little bit. Yes, you can see if I open these, open the scissors all the way, maybe not. We've got the spring tension from the liner locks. We want to push those blades apart, and that's meaning that things are not aligned quite right on the scissors side. So I'm going to push against that spring tension. I might need to loosen this up ever so slightly. I like the 711L inline ratchet driver, but I'm not having the best luck with the power pint today. So we're going to loosen that screw a couple of turns. Let's make sure those scissors have seated down properly. They don't seem to have wanted to slip down into place here. May have to back this off further. All right, we're going to set that aside because that is not working with that power pint. We're going to go back to our standard driver here. Let's see if we can get this onto the pivot. These are the joys of the live mods, so hopefully you guys can bear with me here. Get both of those washers back in place, and then that is where we want it. Seated down nice and tight against the frame. Get our spring in place. And then we will apply that screw back in. Does that feel right? It seems like it's on track, but we will find out momentarily. Get that keep that spring aligned as we go. It's going to want to jump out of place a little bit here. And now those scissors will lock in. We definitely have some misalignment on the spring though, so that's annoying. Now we seem to have some success here finally. So that is the process for combining that surge side. Can be a little bit trickier than that rebar side, which is fewer components. Let me cinch this up a little bit extra tight. I can come back in with a second screwdriver and cinch it up the rest of the way. Let's just see if everything is finally, yes, that is aligned. Once it's cinched tight, you should have that scissors lock into the open position with the liner lock, and that spring will actuate so it starts opening and closing, or opening the scissors, and the serrated blade still works. Let's look at the tool set on this one. Obviously, same plier heads. Outside access, you're going to have the serrated blade from the Surge, as well as the scissors. And then on the inside, we're going to have the bit driver and the can opener from the Surge. And on the other side, we're going to have the plain edge blade, the nice big file, which a lot of people do like that as well. And then we're going to have medium and large flat screwdrivers, plus the awl. Now, again, from here, what we could do is take, perhaps you'd like the scissors on your multi-tool. Let's assume that this is what you're going to want to carry primarily. You can carry the plain edge blade or the serrated blade on the outside. We could swap in the scissors here. And then on the inside, if you don't need the serrated edge blade, you could swap the file into this slot here, and maybe one of those large flat screwdriver here for the small flat screwdriver. Let me double check that those will fit, because that would be a good swap as well. What were we shooting for? 2.3 millimeters roughly. That's going to be, yeah, just about in that 2.3 millimeter ballpark as well. So you could use the large flat screwdriver in place of one of these small flat screwdrivers over here on the Surge, or on the first Super Surge that we made. So those are the Super Surges. Obviously, if you have both of these tools, you can do this mod pretty easily. 25 minutes on the stream, so a little bit less than that with setup time would be an option. You can also, if you have a Surge already, grab just a few parts from our store. I think in total this will run you less than $20 for a frame with the rebar hardware, the file, and the saw, and you could swap those into the Surge. So that would look something like, perhaps you have the large blade, you could have the T-shank exchanger with maybe a metal saw, or you could do scissors on the outside as well. We do sell those. And then on the inside of the rebar, of the rebar frame, you could have the bit driver from the Surge. You could have the saw and the file, as well as what else? You would also have the can opener from the Surge as well. So that's an option as well. Let me know if you guys need help configuring your idea of a Super Surge. We can definitely take a look at those parts if you don't want to buy two full-size multi-tools. And that's all I have for the Mod Monday. If you guys are watching after the fact, members get to join us live on Tuesdays when we do these streams. And we do a Q&A after for those valued members of our community. If you are not a member, you can join us on our Wednesday live streams where we do some disassembly and multi-tool discussion as well. Appreciate you guys watching. We're going to jump into the Q&A now, and we will catch you in the next video.